Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of, if not the dumbest person in Congress, has been permanently suspended by Twitter. So in this video, I will get to exactly why she got suspended, what she said, also Twitter's reasoning, and also why what Taylor Greene said was so stupid. But first here, the proof, her account suspended, taken down. As New York Times writes here, Twitter suspended Ms. Greene's account after she tweeted on Saturday falsely about, quote, extremely high amounts of COVID vaccine deaths. She included a misleading chart that pulled information from a government database of unverified raw data called the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, or VAERS, a decades-old system that relies on self-reported cases from patients and healthcare providers. So before I get to more on this suspension, let me show you why this is so stupid. So first, more here about VAERS. There is currently no evidence of widespread major side effects from the coronavirus vaccines. The VAERS database, which is managed by the Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has been cited in many coronavirus falsehoods to push the idea that side effects from the COVID-19 vaccines have been underreported. So VAERS is a system that you can self-report. You also have doctors that report to it as well. The whole intent of it is to try and find, in the process of doing that, if there is any sort of adverse reaction to any vaccines. But it essentially means if you say you die in a car accident and you were also vaccinated, you'll be reported to the system as being vaccinated at death. So, but that didn't, obviously you didn't die because of the vaccine, but you died having been vaccinated. So you're reported to the system. So it's done in a way to try and collect all this data to see if there are any patterns going on. But this shows you how unreliable it is. So in a July 2005 web post, Dr. James R. Laidler wrote, quote, the chief problem with the VAERS data is that reports can be entered by anyone and are not routinely verified. To demonstrate this, a few years ago, I entered a report that an influenza vaccine had turned me into the Hulk. The report was accepted and entered into the database. So you can report that the vaccine turned you into the Hulk, and that's going to be in the system, showing you why you cannot rely on the deaths. Now, the reason why this system exists is to try and find adverse effects from vaccines if they do exist. So if there is a case of, in fact, if you watch this video, there's a deeper discussion on the VAERS system. So there was one example, I think in the mid-90s, for a vaccine for children where there was a potential adverse effect that they did catch. So, and it wasn't death, it was some other adverse effect. So that's why the system exists. But it also shows you how the system can be exploited, because if you're just looking at deaths and trying to connect it to the vaccine, it doesn't make any sense, because again, you are reported in there regardless of how you died, just because you were vaccinated. Now let's get back to the suspension and why this led to her suspension. So Twitter said that Ms. Greene had a 5th strike, which meant that her account will not be restored. The company had issued her a 4th strike in August after she falsely posted that the vaccines were failing. Ms. Greene was given a 3rd strike less than a month before that, when she had tweeted that COVID-19 was not dangerous for people unless they were obese or over age 65, and said vaccines should not be required. So you can see she has posted this dumb crap over and over and over and over again, even though she herself is vaccinated, but she understands her base is pretty dumb. But I guess she's smart enough to realize that she can use those people by just lying to them over and over and over again, feeding them what they want and not caring at all about her actual impact on society. That said, she still has access to Twitter. So, she's out there complaining, oh my God, they're banning me. Well, you can still use Twitter. So Twitter also confirms she has access to her official account, Representative MTG, as it's not currently in violation of the Twitter rules. But Twitter has banned accounts before, notably Trump, for ban evasion. So if violating tweets appear there, it'll likely be suspended too. So I think she put out a statement. Yeah, so she put out a statement later on saying Twitter is an enemy to America and can't handle the truth. Well, you still have access to this account. So if you want to go post your dumb crap there too, well, you're going to get suspended. But you can still access Twitter, post on Twitter, talk to your constituents if you want through this account. But man, what amazes me about all of this really, ultimately, at the end of the day, is just that Twitter has a higher standard than Congress. Isn't that amazing? That you can have somebody as destructive and stupid as Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress, But Twitter's like, you know what? That's too much for us. We got to get rid of her. I think Congress needs, at the very least, to have a standard that meets the level of Twitter's.